Hi, I wanted to talk a little bit about our 2026 bare root processing. We got started this week. A couple things, we got trees in from suppliers. We want to make sure they get tags on them. So that goes on. We're using a new RFID system, so we might talk a little more about that in future videos. But we always have to process and look at the roots, make sure any broken roots or anything that needs to be trimmed back a little bit, it's a little big. So we have this trimming machine we use for our roots. The trees are stuck in the sickle bar that helps trim all the roots down so that they're cut nice. That helps us get them so they fit in the pots or also fit into our system. The next step we got to do is, behind me you can see we're trimming some of the branching. That's to get so we can get a nice tight head, we get a lot of breaks down in. A better plant overall when we go into the field. We got to compensate for some of the root loss in there. So you can see we're cutting back so that the central leader is the main tallest part of the tree. We're cutting back the other branches pretty hard back to buds so that we get really nice breaking in there. So these are crab apple. This would be royal raindrops that we're processing. So the final step is then to go in. We want to make sure there's no bad branching angles, make sure all the structure is the way we want it to be, so when we go out to the field or out to a can, that the trimming is really good. So on this process, we're putting bamboo on before we go to the field. So you can see these machines we made here in-house at Willoway, and then we're using the rubber stretch ties to put the bamboo onto the tree, and then we go with the shoe planter into the field after when we're ready to go. So we got the staking done when we do the planting, so everything's ready to go. We've got the tag on it, and then he steps down on a lever and opens it up, but it holds it in place really nicely. And watch the process kind of accelerated here. Open it up, holds everything in place real easy, so we got our both hands to be putting the rubber ties on. So we use a shipping pallet for Willoway. We've got these wooden racks, and then we line it with plastic. Before we put the trees in it, we can go over here, look at a couple we've got ready. Once we get the box, the trees are processed, we put the bare root trees in here, and then we shovel in our container media into there, water it in real good. That moisture helps hold the roots and basically keeps them nice and cool. We take them out to a building, we call them declutes. That we want to keep it cold. We use it like an outdoor freezer, so we want to get about an inch of crust in there. And we'll talk about that maybe in one of the videos coming up, how we manage the temperature. It's not there's no cooling system in there. We keep it just above or around freezing. We want that crust to freeze so that we can hold the trees in dormancy until we're ready to plant them. The fields are ready. Here we're in our grafting house. We've been working. These guys have been working hard on it. Here we've got Angel. We're grafting sign wood on, and he's wrapping with rubber band right now. This is kind of a special skill. Takes a little bit to get good and fast at it, but when you've been doing it a while, so it's all about getting the wood ready, making the cuts right. You have to watch the thickness of the wood in relationship to the cuts. As you can see, he's pretty careful about what he's looking at and how he's cutting it. And he'll make his cut. We're doing a 2 sign wood graft here. So that means there's just 2 of them in per. And he'll stick that in. And then he kind of pinches the wood back together a little bit, and you can see how it sits down in there. The rubber band will go on to hold it in place tightly. And then we come in with wax a little bit later here in the process when we get enough done, and we wax it. The wax helps seal it up to keep the air from being in there and causing it to callus funny. So the idea is to marry up the phloem and the xylem within the plant itself, so the plant actually thinks it's part of the plant. This is Syringa dark purple here. And then we'll grow these on, we'll mist them as we go. And then what we do is we also, eventually we'll cut the top out of it and use the new bud wood or sign wood as our plant. One of the other things that's really important in this process is the depth of the cut he's making. If you notice, it's not real shallow and it's not real deep. We don't want to get into the heartwood of the tree. We want to stay out on that cambium layer. So